Venmo, Cash App, or Zelle. Your donation doesn't just keep the lights on, it keeps our voices strong. We're not just another YouTube channel. We're your news, we're your platform, we're your movement. So if you rock with us, if you believe in independent Latino media, drop $2, $3, or $5 today. Thank you so much for watching, supporting, and standing with us. We're just getting started. Let's grow together.
1.
And we're on and cracking. All right, everybody, you guys know what it is. The one and the only, the American Cholo podcast, broadcasting live and direct to you from North Hollywood, California. My name is Gil, and I am the American Cholo. And, of course, I got my man Chris back here engineering. Today, I got the black shirt. I'm not going to court. I'm not going to a funeral. I'm going to sit here, and we're gonna politic today, man. So today's guest, this gentleman, as I told Chris to pan over to you, but he hasn't yet. Gotta love it. Today's guest, man, he's a busy guy. He's a corporal with the Chino Police Department in SoCal, California. He founded Breaking Barriers United with a mission to humanize policing and make a connection with the public. He's also a podcaster, a national speaker, an author that is now running for governor. Please give it up for Mr. Ryan Tillman.
My man.
What's up, Brian? How we doing, player?
Man, I'm doing amazing. Thanks for having me.
If Gavin Newsom has taught us anything, is if you look good, you get voted in, bro. You might just have the win in already, Playboy.
Well, I got half the battle done. Hopefully, we'll see, man. It's only because my wife dresses me.
That's right. So let's give us people a little bit of history, man. Where were you born and raised at, my man?
So born and raised in Rialto in San Bernardino. Okay. I always say San Bernardino because even though I didn't necessarily live and reside in San Bernardino, most of my family was in San Bernardino. So in the summertime, when I was out of school and mom and dad were at work, spent all the time with my grandmother who lived in San Bernardino. So Rialto and San Bernardino is what raised me.
So what kind of racial profile was that city you were living in?
Yeah, it's predominantly Hispanic and black. Okay. So you had so much so in high school we would have a lot of riots between Hispanics and blacks all the time.
Really?
Yeah, all the time. And luckily I was an athlete, so they didn't really pull me into it.
Right.
And because I was always cool with everybody.
What were you playing?
I played football.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a football player. So I went to high school, played football, and then went to college to play football.
Oh, you played college?
I did.
Nice, man. Ever thought about being pro, or you just know, I'm good, but I'm not great?
So the irony of it, man, I couldn't stand the politics of it.
Politics of football.
Oh man, let me tell you, that's a story for a different day. But once it was all said and done, I graduated with my degree. I was like, it's done.
Yeah, that was a good thing though, right?
Yeah, it was good, man. It got me everything. It was a vehicle to give me my degree and everything else.
So as far as family structure, mom, dad, or who was around with you?
So I've been blessed, man. Both my mom and my dad were present my whole life. They were hardworking people, both blue collar. My dad worked in education. My mom worked in finance, and they were present. They went to all my football games, everything I could imagine. And then, unfortunately, my dad passed away 3 years ago.
Oh, man,
3.5 years ago. Yeah, he's in the presence of Jesus Christ, so that's the main thing, and that's where my hope is at. But he's one of the biggest reasons I am the way I am today.
That's a great thing, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, having especially both parents in the household that are good parents makes such a difference in our
100%.
communities, bro. And I'm sure you've seen people who weren't as lucky as you that maybe strayed the wrong way.
Well, most of my friends growing up were not as fortunate as me. It's funny. I just had a conversation with my mom yesterday. I was driving to Palm Desert, and we had about an hour drive, and so I was talking to my mom on the phone, and we were just laughing because throughout our life, people would always call us the Huxtables. And nobody, we were like, why do they call us the Huxtables? We have our own drama, but that old fashioned traditional household is what my parents raised me in, and I didn't realize how blessed of a man I was until I got older and was able to look back.
And then you started seeing. So now you're graduating college. Did you come out of college wanting to be a police officer, or how did that come about?
Absolutely not. So coming out of college, my goal was to be a Fortune 500 business owner. I've always loved business. I went to college for marketing, and the reason I went to school in Vegas, so I played football at UNLV, graduated, and my senior year is when I met my wife in Vegas, of all places. We met at the club, Privé. Some of y'all that are listening to this probably remember Privé with the Ed Hardy shirts on. But anyways, we met my wife at the club. I moved back home because my dad was diagnosed with MS at the time. So I moved back home to take care of my mom, or take care of my dad and help my mom. And I was working at Abercrombie & Fitch and Primerica Life Insurance. So me and my wife ended up getting engaged, and shortly after we got married, we ended up getting pregnant with our first child, and I was still working at those jobs, and I was like, man, I'm not going to be able to provide as the man of the home doing this job. So my dad's best friend was like, you should be a cop. And I was like, heck no. Like, I'm not working for the man. I'm not about to be a pig. Like, that was my that was my mentality, because growing up, I had some bad interactions with law enforcement, and culturally speaking, we just never, as a black man, we just never got down with law enforcement. So it was the furthest thing from my mind. But after praying about it, I said, God, show me what you want me to do. Open the door. If it's what you want me to do, I'll do it. And the door just kind of flew off the hinges, and I found myself getting hired with the Chino Police Department in 2013.
Funny how that works, right? When you start like on spiritual journeys and you ask, hey, God, and I think we've all been there at one point, and it works, bro. So I forgot to say at the beginning of the show, man, all praise to God, man, always, brother.
Amen to that.
So now, were your parents really religious?
Yeah, so I grew up in a Catholic household. My mom was Catholic. My dad grew up in a Baptist church. We were the type of family where early on we would always go to church every Sunday. But then as we got older, we stopped going to church, but the foundation was laid that God is a priority. So when I went to college, and again, I went to college of all places, I went to college in Las Vegas.
Oh God, yes.
You got to think, some young 20-something-year-old out there, doing what he wants to do. There was a lot coming at me, but I always knew that there was something missing. And that missing component was, my relationship with Christ. And so one of the former alumni at UNLV was Ronald Cunningham. I don't know if you remember Ronald Cunningham, the quarterback. So he would come to our practices just to watch us practice. And I didn't know this at the time, but he was a pastor. So we got a good relationship. And one day he was like, hey, man, you want to get baptized? And so I was like, all right. So in 2007, I went to his house, and I ended up getting baptized by Randall Cunningham. And ever since then, man, I've just been trying to, live a relationship dedicated to serving him.
I'm sure some friends that said, man, that's a whopper you're telling me.
Right.
For sure.
Oh, it's the randomest thing.
So how old were you when you actually went and signed the paperwork to go to, is it a boot camp you guys go to?
Yeah,
what do you guys
police
call
academy?
it? Yeah, police academy.
So I was 24 years old.
Oh,
no, I was 26. I was 26 years old. I was married at 24, and then about a year and a half into it is when I started the process, and I was 26 when I actually started the academy.
Okay, how long did it take you to finally, graduate from the academy?
So it was 6 months in the academy, and then once I did really well. I actually graduated number 2 overall in my class.
Nice.
So when I got into the process, I started realizing, I was like, man, I actually am pretty decent at this. It was common sense to me. And then I got out, started my field training program, and then that was another 6 months of being to the field training program, and then that's when I got out on my own. And
was there anything that you struggled with at all in the academy, or everything kind of,
Yeah, I honestly, so the thing I struggled with the most in the academy was the system. And this is what I mean. The law enforcement academy is very paramilitary.
Okay.
And having been an athlete and having discipline and structure, I knew how to be disciplined, and I knew how to follow. Orders. But the thing that it was hard for me was this culture, this police culture, and fitting in with that, because I just was different. I mean, I've always been the guy that's just trying to be like, laid back, cool, whatever, like hang out with, and I was different. And so I struggled trying to adapt to this police culture and fitting into a way that they wanted me to fit into. Right. And that was always a struggle early on. And then at some point in my career, I just said, I'm gonna always be me, and whether you like it or not, I'm gonna do me. And as long as I'm moral, as long as I'm ethical, I don't always necessarily need to go along with the system.
Now, what's one thing you would give advice to somebody going to the police academy that may help them while they're in there?
Humility. Number one, humility. Go in there not thinking you know everything. Go in there with an ability to always want to learn, and then also go in there and be a good team player for everybody else. It's not about you, it's about everybody else. That's what true service is. And I think that's why I loved being in law enforcement so much, is it's all about service. Is who can you serve? So if I had to give any advice to new recruits going in there, I say go in there with an open mind, but most importantly, be humble.
Okay. Now you're you graduated from the academy, you're an officer in the department you're in. There's not that many black officers, is there?
I laugh because it's always been a running joke a little bit. But yeah, when I first got hired there was about 6 black officers. But it's not necessarily surprising when you look at law enforcement holistically.
Right.
Just the percentages of African Americans in the profession is not that high. But over the years, it's getting more and more. And I think, you're getting more people from different minorities into the profession. And I think it's a great thing. I think one of the reasons why you have this riffraff and disdain between law enforcement and the community is because you have people within the minority community who couldn't see themselves doing the profession.
Right.
So when I started Breaking Barriers United, it was always my goal to break those barriers in places like that, and so allow other people to see, like, man, I could do that too, so why not do it?
So let's talk about that a little bit. Breaking Barriers United. What year was this that you started it, and what was the goal, and how's it going?
So that was started in 2015. So it's been 10 years, actually. It was 10 years in April. I started it because that was right around the time that Michael Brown was killed in Ferguson.
Right.
And as a new police officer, being a black police officer, I felt like I was this man in the middle. On one end, I came from a place where I did not like police officers. My family and my culture was not fans of police officer. But on the other end, now having to make split-second decisions, understanding the what, the why, and the how of what law enforcement is, I was like, man, my perception has changed. So I started this mission to go out there and bridge that gap between the community, specifically the minority community, and law enforcement. So you ask how it's going. Well, that was 10 years ago. And I'll give you this perspective. On average, most small businesses fail within the first 5 years.
Right.
I'm a small business and we're still going 10 years. And the opportunities, the places that I've gone because of my desire to bridge the gap and resolve conflict, I've been in rooms that, some guy from Rialto and San Bernardino, most people would say you shouldn't be in that room. And that's kind of what leads me into this journey into politics is I'm like, if I could do it there, I could do it here.
Did you ever have any sense of like a bit of racism when you were a cop with other officers that I would say maybe some older officers that still, kind of ran that route as before? That's
a great question. I wouldn't say I necessarily had bouts of racism specifically, but I definitely had instances of ignorance.
Okay.
And I think the two are different. Racism is one of those things where somebody they think they're either greater or they're trying to usurp certain authorities over you because of a race dominance, because of their race is better than yours or vice versa. I never had that. But what I did have is I had ignorance. I had people that would make ignorant comments that were either racially or culturally motivated. But instead of having this victim mentality, because it's easy to play victim. Right. It's easy to be like, man, woe is me. It's because of me. It's because of my race that they're going to put me down. Instead of having that mentality, I was always like, I'm just going to be better than them. And sometimes better than them means in performance. Sometimes I can be better than them just based on my performance. Sometimes being better than them means that I'm going to be better than them by being the bigger person.
Right.
And not treating them the way they deserve to be treated. And a lot of that is coming from my Christian values and just realizing that like I don't want to be as like them. I don't want to stoop down to their level. And what's going to kill them more is when I have success and when I don't give them what they believe they deserved.
Well, especially when you guys were such low numbers when you first got in, so they already got the spotlight on you. And if you do something out of character, they're going to say, "You see, that's why we don't need to have over here." Right? And you'd be feeding to their stereotype.
Feeding right into the stereotype.
Right. So breaking barriers, but a lot of things have changed since that. You guys have been majorly villainized after the BLM movement, or whatever you want to call it. People have different opinions of it. Police have been super villainized. You guys are the worst people in the world for many years. How was that transition for you from trying to meet with the public, but the public's it almost reminds me of the Vietnam days where they were calling the soldiers baby killers.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you guys were getting for a couple of years. How were you guys feeling back then?
The feeling of it sucks, but we also have to navigate in realities as well. There's two components usually when you're talking about subjects like this. You have the emotional component, and then you have the factual component. There's a lot of people that were operating off of their emotions based on what they see all in the media. When you see a video of police use of force, you're going to operate from an emotional state of mind because it's not pretty, but it's absent of facts. You don't really understand what actually goes into the situation. So for me, I had to be able to separate those two, and even know that they would ridicule us and criticize us, I would tell myself they're operating out of a place of ignorance and misunderstanding. And so it was my job to educate them about what is really going on. And if they still want to have that preconceived notion, then hey, we don't need to have a relationship. So I tried not to let it get to me. I tried to allow it to motivate me more to go out there and educate the public.
But you are human, and I'm sure at some point somebody's calling you an Uncle Tom, somebody's calling you a sellout, somebody's telling you how can you stand against your people, or I'm assuming they may have said that. How did you not take that home with you, or did you ever once take it home with you and have to try to deal with that?
I've always been one of those guys where it's never been that serious. Like for me, it's just like, that energy is not even, I don't even need all that energy in my life, so it's not really that big a deal. The one thing I will tell you where I have had moments where it did get to me is when it was my peers that would come against me. When my peers would say things that were ignorant, or they would try to mock me because of the organization I had. That's when I would start having moments where I was like, I'm ready to go back to Rialto and San Bernardino and throw these paws.
All right, so now let's talk a little bit about California. One of the first things that popped into my mind right now is that high-speed rail that California has been dumping money into. It seems like it's just a union kind of payback. They have no plan for it. They've gone over budget by, I think, billions of dollars. And right now, they're just trying to make it from Bakersfield to San Jose.
Yeah, it's a money pit is what it is, and it's a misappropriation of funds. Don't get me wrong, it sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's a lot of things that sound great that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good idea. When you're talking about a state of California, which is the number 4 global economy in our country, or actually in the world, there's things that we don't necessarily need when we can address that money towards fixing the quality of life. When I'm driving through LA today, I mean, I see all sorts of different homeless people, which is funny because the mayor and the governor today were just touting how the homelessness is down. But if you actually peel back the layers, and when you're not necessarily doing homeless counts like you used to, or when you have a homeless amount of homeless population that is dead because of overdoses, it's almost like you throwing a whole bunch of clothes and put it in the closet when you have guests over and saying, hey, the house is all clean, but all the dirtiness is in the closet.
They're cooking the numbers.
Correct.
They're definitely cooking the numbers. So with the high-speed rail, if you were governor, you're going to say this is done. I mean,
yeah, we're going to put the brakes on it. I think if, as governor, what we need to do is we need to, first and foremost, we would have to reassess and see where we are at in the process. Now, according to my understanding, we're not that far in the process. I mean, they've done some things, but we're not far enough for them to finish it.
If it was any type of private contracting, they'd be out of business, and they would have been fired years ago.
Absolutely. So unless you were at a place where it's almost done and completed, then we got to put the brakes on it and figure out how we can recoup some of that money. Because one of the good things about it, potentially as governor, is like, if we're not going to finish this thing, we say, hey, this was a scrap project. Well, let's start selling some of the material that we bought so we can at least make some of that money back and put it back into our economy. So that way it's not necessarily, you're not,
Or maybe just give it to a complete private entity and say, if you guys want to do it, go ahead.
That too. So there's multiple options you could do, but to say that we're going to finish it and keep, draining, or liquidating all sorts of money or putting money into this.
It's that Tom Hanks movie, The Money Pit, bro.
Oh, man, just keep dumping money into it. It's like, when does it stop?
So AI is something that, is the technology has just gone so far in the last couple of years, right? You see cars now with nobody in there, and you see trucks in there with nobody in them. What is your opinion about AI when it comes to work, such as harbor work? The ports are being automated. Trucking will soon be automated. What is your thoughts on that, and how do we replace those jobs that they're missing that are high-paying jobs to the community out there and kind of balance that out?
I was having a conversation today with somebody about AI, and it's very unique. I honestly, in my personal opinion, I think our generation, you and I, we're like on the cuffs of being same generation, but I think our generations could benefit almost the most from AI compared to my kids' generation. And I'll come back to your point in a second, but I want to say this first. And the reason why I think this is because when you and I were growing up, and even to this day, we've always had to learn systems, how systems work. So I equate it to this. Say I'm a business owner, and say I own a restaurant, but I started in the kitchen. Well, by starting in the kitchen, I had to learn the process of how to handle the food, where the food goes, where all the supplies goes. Then, maybe I start cleaning up the restroom, so I had to start learning the maintenance side of it. But I start understanding the systems. Well, let's just say that you have somebody that comes in who's never been in the restaurant industry before, but they have money, they have all the money in the world, so they want to buy this restaurant, and now they're going to take over as a CEO. Well, yeah, it sounds great on paper. You can go out there and start running this restaurant, but if you don't know and understand how systems work, it's only a matter of time before you fail. So if we take that example and you equate it to AI, we understand how systems work, and because of that, we can help fill in the gaps that AI can't fill in. AI still lacks a certain human component of problem solving, of thinking outside the box. So if we leverage that to our ability, I think that we can preserve some of the jobs that a lot of people would think would go away if we understand how we can allow it to utilize it as a more of a tool, rather than just saying it's going to be a replacement. Our kids' generation, on the other hand, they are looking at it. If we don't teach them how to critically think, if we don't teach them how to problem solve, they're going to be the ones that just say, hey, just let AI do it. And that's how we're going to start losing these jobs, because they don't understand the systems. They just want solutions. So for me, the balance of it is we still need to teach our kids how to critically think. We still need to teach our kids the process of how to get to A to Z, and then utilize AI to start filling in the gaps in order to get there faster.
You think in the future, though, it's going to be almost a world where AI is doing a lot of the work, and it's almost going to be like a social program where people are just getting paid money, the rich are getting rich? Because that's unfortunately what California is becoming. It's becoming a two-state where either you have money or you don't. Because right now,
the middle class is being eradicated.
Yes, bro. My kids can't afford to buy a house where I live. I'm sure your kid, everybody's family, their generation, it's almost like the American dream's gone. How do we bring the American dream back to California?
So one of my slogans for the campaign is going back to Cali. I did that. You like to play on that? Right. You know, you got to, hey, make sure you play my song later on. But I truly believe that this used to be a land of prosperity. People moved here for their big break. People moved here for opportunity. Yes. We were one of the biggest places for agriculture. We were one of the biggest places for just the sights and the scenes. And unfortunately, that's gone to other places. When you look at Hollywood, a lot of people are taking their business to Las Vegas or taking it to Tennessee, Texas. When you look at some of our technology or the tech industry, they've gone to places like Dallas. So what we have to do is we have to incentivize people to come back. I've always said nobody ever leaves California because it's an ugly state. No. You tell me one person has left this place because it's an ugly state. And I'm not talking about the homelessness in downtown LA. I'm talking about its actual beauty. You don't really find that. They leave because of high taxes, the inaffordability. So what we have to do is we have to incentivize people to come back. Well, how do you do that? Well, maybe we can give them some tax advantages or some tax incentives by saying, hey, you move back, we'll give you a tax break. And not only will we give you a tax break, but we're going to incentivize you to stimulate our economy in some unique ways. Let's bring some of the businesses back. Let's bring the big break back in Hollywood. As much as I'm not a fan of Gavin Newsom, I know he has been working recently with the Hollywood industry, because they're leaving. So, one of the things as a politician that I'm tired of is the polarizations. You're either on the far left or the far right. I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not a fan of Gavin Newsom by any means. But if by him doing that with the Hollywood, so I'm like, okay, cool. At least he recognizes that, hey, this is probably something we should fix. So I think what we need in California is we need somebody that's balanced, that's willing to call right for right or wrong for wrong, not just because you're picking a political color.
Now, when it comes to housing, I always hear, I think I work in the construction field, right? I always hear this, and I know, to me, because I'm in the field, it's a hustle. You will hear there's a shortage of housing, either for making the prices go down or for homelessness. And to me, I can tell you, there's no shortage of housing.
Not at all.
There's shortage of affordable housing.
Yes.
So how do we get some of these contractors and some of these other people, like up the street here, it's all gentrified, you're paying $2,800 for a one bedroom.
You want to know? It's very, very simple. Very, very simple. Build more houses. And we have the land, we have the space to do it. There's no reason we shouldn't. But you talked about it, it's a hustle. And so when you have a shortage of housing, you're able to drive the cost of housing. It goes back to supply and demand. It's economics 101. So that's not the end all be all. But if we can create more housing, and I'm not talking about affordable housing, because I hate when people bring up affordable housing, and they're actually trying to do it now in the Palisades, which started as a conspiracy, but
that's there.
What do you know? All of a sudden now we're bringing
20% affordable housing.
Correct. So I think that there's all sorts of different places that we can build more houses, I think. But in order to do that, we have to cut a lot of the red tape that goes along with it. As a contractor, in California, we have some of the most regulations. Yeah. We are one of the most over-regulated states. Yeah. I talked to a farmer probably about 6 months ago, and he was telling me that every year there's new regulations that come for his farming. Yeah. And not only does he have to make sure his stuff is in compliance, but he also has to pay for the new regulations that come along with it.
Right.
It's unacceptable.
Well, yeah, I asked Chad Bianco. He came on a Zoom one last week, and I asked him about the CARB, I think it was called, the one that they're trying trying, like with us, we had a truck ran great, everything, 20 grand they wanted to do. And there's a bunch of, I do concrete, there's a bunch of pumpers that do it. Dude, I got to sell my truck over here and this, they do. And like, I can't afford to buy another truck.
Yeah.
So what is the disconnection between the politicians like Gavin Newsom and the regular working class, where, hey, dude, you're gonna get rid of you're making people who just have one or two trucks have to come out of pocket $40,000. Like, that's insane.
People can call me a conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
But this is what I truly believe, and I don't think a lot of people are going to disagree with me. When you get most of your funding from big business, when you get most of your funding from super PACs, then now you also have an obligation to answer. Why? Because they're putting money to fund your whole campaign. They're putting money to fund your organization. And that's when we start, tweedling the line of, pandering to the vocal minority. And so the only way to truly fix it, and this is when I talked about running for governor, I knew it was going to be an uphill battle. It's the Mount Everest of climbs. But here's the interesting thing about it is in 2025, politics in 2025 is not politics of 1995.
No.
You see, 1995, you needed to start at city council. 1995, you needed to go to mayor. 1995, from mayor, you maybe go to city council, or you go to Congress. Right. From Congress, maybe you go to the Senate. And then from there, all of a sudden, next thing you know, maybe you can run for governor. That's politics in 1995. You know what politics in 2025 looks like? You getting on different podcasts. You get on the American CHOLO podcast.
That's right.
You get on Joe Rogan's podcast. You get on Sean Ryan's podcast. You get on Stephen A. Smith's podcast. Yeah. If people like you, if they want to follow you, then that's how you actually start winning elections. And so you take that same concept and imagine if you had 50,000, if I had 50,000 constituents that gave me $5 a month, that works out to be $250,000 per month. If I had 50,000 constituents that gave me $5 per week, that works out to be $1 million per month. So guess what? Now my constituents are funding my campaign. Well, guess who I have to answer to now when I have to start making decisions? My constituents. Yes. And so if we start taking that same concept where now the people are funding these politicians rather than these 1, 2, or 3 big businesses, then now it allows us to do things that are more in line with the people as opposed to bending for a small amount of people because of the money they bring in.
But that's the uphill climb that you and many others have because the two-party system rules, man. It's like they will put millions and millions of dollars
for now.
For now, for sure, against anyone. Would you ever be inclined to maybe have a third party?
So I'm running as an independent.
Okay.
I think right now the closest thing we have to a third party is an independent. I know Elon Musk has talked about the American Party, right. But I want you to notice something and take a look at what's going on the national scale. You have people that are breaking away from party lines.
Yes.
Because party lines are showing they don't work. Why? Because when you don't do something that's in line with the party, now it creates some type of riffraff. And so you start the pandering. So I truly believe that we are at a time in our country where we are more ripe and ready for another option. I read a business book a long time ago, and in the business book, it talked about, what makes business successful. And there was 3 things that were highlighted. Number 1 was a concept. Number 2 was money. And number 3 was the timing. And so I always thought that was the order: the idea, the money, and the timing. Right. But it was actually reversed. Timing was the number 1 thing. Right. You could have the best idea and no money, and it'll go nowhere. You can have the best, the most money and an average idea, and it will still go nowhere if you don't have the timing. So I think in politics, timing is everything. And if we can start sharing this message and get people to realize it and educate people about what politics really is, I think we'll start seeing the tide turn. And there's a lot of people that are not involved in politics because they don't want to be involved.
Now, as far as people breaking party lines, I think that's a great segue to go into the big talk right now, bro.
Epstein.
Well, there's no Epstein files. There's nothing there. Like I said, at the Chappelle show, cooking. Who's cooking?
Man, yeah, exactly. Who's cooking? Man, Chappelle show is classic, by the way.
So, what is that about, bro? Like, are we? Do they think that this is 1960 something, and they're gonna pull the wool over our eyes, and just say nothing to see here? JFK got get by this guy, and at this point, what is it? Are we just fools?
So the Epstein case is an affirmation as to what I'm saying right now. You see, we had the Republican Party. That was one of the things they ran on.
Absolutely.
Which was transparency, which was, showing the world the things that everybody's been hiding.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, recently, it's the biggest hoax, and there's no such thing about it. and I'll tell you, I'll be the first. I'm more conservative on paper. You know what I mean? But at the same time, we have to be willing to acknowledge and say, wait, something's not right here. And the thing that I don't like about it the most is on the flip side of that, you have the Democratic side of things that's saying, why don't you release the files? Why don't you release the files? You guys talked about, well, how come y'all didn't release the files when you guys were in office?
Right.
The only reason you're saying it now is because you're trying to make the other side look bad. And so it's this back and forth.
This is politics.
It's this back and forth, and who's getting caught in the crossfire? The people. The people are the ones that suffer the most. You see it even as it relates to immigration here. When we talk about immigration here, and I talk about California specifically because it's been in the news the most, you have this political bantering going back and forth between our president and the governor, then the president, and then the mayor. And while all this battling and the lawsuits are going on, who's suffering the most? The people, which includes first responders. Everybody. So, we talk about immigration, and I'm like, I've been asked, well, what are you going to do about immigration? We have to learn to work together. There's no reason why local and state governments should not be working with ICE. Right now is everybody's running their own play. And because everybody's running their own playbook, then it's looking as bad as it is because we have the sanctuary stuff. So that means if somebody gets arrested and sent to county jail, well, now, county jail is going to release them back into the streets. So now ICE has to come to your graduation to pick you up because they couldn't get you from the county jail. But if we started working together and we understood what the goal is, then maybe we can do it with some decency, some compassion, and I think both things could be true at the same time.
I think that definitely when you say first responders, I'm thinking police officers. I'm not thinking the ICE agents. So because I believe the ICE agents, they were just being bullies out there, bro. A lot of them, unfortunately. And it was almost like they were given the okay by the administration, go out there, press up on people. And I think that's where people were like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Like me, listen, I voted for Donald Trump. I didn't vote for this. I didn't vote for 70-year-old men getting dragged to the streets like they're murderers. I didn't vote for people going to their work and picking them up. I do understand how the sanctuary policies and the back and forth is kind of them pressing up, but I don't understand why the governor just can't, actually make that phone call, go over there and tell them, hey, dude, I'll let you have it.
So you brought up a great point. I actually talked to an ICE agent. I talked to a lot of people. I talked to ICE agents. I talked to people who are here illegally, and I talked to everybody in between, try to figure out, get a grip on this thing. And this is how I understand it. Right now, currently with ICE, a federal ICE agency in Arizona is going to probably operate different than a federal ICE agency in California. What's interesting is they're still a federal entity.
Yes.
So technically, they should be operating the same way, if not very similar. But right now, because there's no clarity, everybody has their own protocols. And so they might do things one way here, and they might do things another way here. So what needs to happen, number one, is there needs to be some clear direction on what is our objective. You have some ICE agencies that are saying, hey, look, we still want to go after violent people, and those are the ones we want to deport. You have other ICE agencies that say, hey, we're just going for straight numbers. They gave us 30,000 people. We got to go get 30,000 people. I don't care who it is. Well, if you have no clear direction on what you're supposed to be doing, everybody's going to be operating on their own program. And then you have a governor and a mayor who is tied the hands of a lot of local law enforcement agencies. So now you have ICE agents out there that are getting harassed and assaulted. So now that starts to build strife with them, and they're tired of the nonsense. So then you see that viral video of them grabbing somebody because we don't see behind closed doors. They're getting spit on, cussed at, and all this other stuff. So it's what I like to call a conundrum. And a conundrum basically means that there's a lot of stuff and layers that it's like, you know what? There needs leadership for this.
But the federal judge just ruled this last Friday that it was pretty much racial profiling. That was my issue with it because, on my Instagram, I get both. And I get some people saying, this is what I voted for. They're illegals. They're gone. And I'm like, dude, it's a misdemeanor. It's not if you came back again, that's right. But them coming towards people, and the only reason they're coming towards them is because they're brown, bro. I mean, there's just no other way to look at it. They're brown, and then they hear an accent, then, all right, you're illegal. That is basically what racial profiling is. So I think their tactics at it were all wrong. In the Latino community, we feel like, wait a minute, are we like second-class citizens now? Like, you can come after us. So I understand like how they feel, but this is what we're feeling. And what could you do as governor that would put some Latinos at ease and say, okay, he's not just for the federal agencies, he's not just for that, he's also for helping us. How could you as governor help us in the Latino community who are not breaking the law?
Great question. So number one is transparency. You know, I took on one of the biggest issues as a young officer, which was bridging that gap between law enforcement and the community. One of the things that I realized early on in what was a problem with law enforcement is that we didn't go out there and tell our story. What we did was, if a critical incident happened in the city, we would go out there, take names and numbers, go back to work, and not even tell nobody what we did or why we did it. So all you were left to see was this viral video, and everybody's mad saying, why would you mess with such and such?
Right.
And we didn't have to answer to nobody. But then as videos and more videos start coming out, we start recognizing, like, we better do something. So what I would do to try to put the Latino community at ease is, number one, be transparent of what we're doing, who we're going after, and why we're going after them. Give a clear direction. So if the plan is, hey, we're going after violent criminals, then that's who we're going to go after, and then making sure that there is some type of leadership direction and oversight to make sure that this is what is being done. And that's why I say partnership is important. It is important that the governor and the president work with each other. They can't be at odds, because when you're at odds with something like this, people get hurt in the process. So if we had a clear direction and said, hey, this is who we're going after, this is what we need to get done, we got to get the border secure, and this is the only way we're going to do it, then let that be the mission, and that mission goes down to the troops and they execute. But then also in the process, being transparent. One of the things that has occurred throughout the years in law enforcement is we see these critical incident debriefs. Why do you think we do critical incident debriefs?
Not sure.
So we do critical incident debriefs, which are after a critical incident, like an officer-involved shooting, whatever it may be, the chief of police usually, or somebody from the PR team, they're going to put a video out there and explain the incident. Right. The reason we do it is because if we don't, somebody's viral video that was taken on TikTok or Instagram is going to go viral. It's only going to give one side of the story.
Right.
So why can't we do something similar when we're going into the community, doing some of these ICE raids and saying, hey, look, this is who we went after, this is why we went after them, and this is why they're going back. Yeah, it's putting people on Front Street, but at least it's being transparent with the community to say, hey, look, I feel at ease because at least I know why they went to the graduation. At least I know why they went to the school, as opposed to just going out there and taking names and numbers.
Yeah, the problem, I think, is, especially with the Trump administration, is that they ran on, we're going to get the criminals, we're going to do this. And I mean, they got 54% of the Latino vote. You do the poll now, I think they're down like 25% because, yeah, people are like, nah, dude, this is, a lot of times I believe they just think we're brown, we're going to vote a certain way. No, we're looking for policy, bro.
Correct.
And the policy of a closed border appealed to many of us. The policy of taking criminals off the streets really appealed to us. You know, we're not just these killers. Most of us are workers and family men. And by what's going on right now under the Trump administration, I think he's losing the Latino vote majorly.
Yeah, because again, it goes back to my point. When you just go out there and do what you want to do and act like you don't have to answer to anybody, of course it's going to turn people off. If I was the chief of police in my own department right now and I just went out to the community and just took names and numbers and didn't tell you about anything,
or just started kicking ass and arresting everybody.
Yeah, you guys would be pissed off at me.
Of course.
But if I'm transparent, if I tell you, hey, this is what I'm doing and this is why I'm doing it, you usually never get pushback. And I know that. Why, as a police officer, I've dealt with, and I credit this to where I grew up. Growing up in Rialto and San Bernardino, you got to learn how to have a mouthpiece, because if not, you're going to have problems. You can relate to this.
Yeah, for sure.
So there was times where I was like, as a police officer, I'll let people, it was almost like this. This isn't what I would say, but this is what I was referring to. It was like, look, we could do this the easy way, we could do this the hard way. And the easy way was...
That's what Snoop Dogg said.
Exactly. and there's another guy who was A&E. I'm not going to tell you about the documentary about it, but he said the same thing. But the easy way was, look, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. This is why it has to happen. And you could go along with the program. I'll treat you with decency. I'll treat you with respect, and we'll get along our way. The hard way is you don't listen to what I say and you don't do what we need to go, then there's going to be forced use. And 99.9% of the time, they went the easy way because people will respect that. So again, it goes back to that point. Good leaders. If I was Gavin Newsom, when we saw the riots going on, stand up and give some clear direction of what's going on.
Right.
And this is what needs to happen. I think everybody wants safe borders. Nobody's arguing that. Nobody's arguing the fact that we want secure borders. Yeah. The problem is how do we get to those secure borders? And while everybody's too busy arguing, every single one of us is paying the price.
As far as law and order, Governor, are you for mandatory minimums? Are you for the death penalty? What kind of laws would you be kind of pushing for as governor?
So I've always said, when I started my run, I said we can be tough on crime, but we can believe in redemption. What does that mean? Why do I say it that way? Well, when I first started in law enforcement, they passed Prop 47, and it was masqueraded as the Safe on Schools Act. Well, if you looked at a piece of paper and you just read the headline, Safe on Schools Act, yes on Safe on Schools, are you going to mark yes or no?
Oh, I get it. No, I marked no, though, because I read it. I was like, these guys,
but you're smart.
Crime's going to go through the roof.
You're smart. But a lot of times people, they don't have that time. We live in this microwave mentality. Yeah. So they're like, oh, mark yes, Safe on Schools.
They hustle you.
So what happened was we got hustled. And it was everything but Safe on Schools. They decriminalized everything. Yeah. Everything that was a felony became a misdemeanor. And then now we start paying the price in our quality of life.
Funny how that works, right? Crime goes through the roof. And why is crime going through the roof, guys? You guys remember Prop 47? Like,
Exactly. So Californians got tired of it. Chad Bianco, to his credit, he was one of the pushers of Prop 36 and a few others.
Right.
And Prop 36 got passed, and it was great because people got tired of it.
Yes.
So I truly believe that we can be tough on crime. Everybody believes that there is a place for being tough on crime. Where we are missing the mark in California is we are not allowing these guys to redeem themselves. I have a lot of friends of mine who have redeemed themselves, from Artie Gons to I'm not going to give all the names of the guys I know, but I have a handful of guys that have gone in, done time, and I've seen what their life could become.
Right.
So how do we get there? And one of the things I'm proposing, and it could be viewed upon as being controversial, but that's okay, I like controversy, is what I like to call this character score. And what a character score essentially means is that when you have been, when they've given you a felony, and they attach a felony on your record, for the rest of your life, for the most part, when you fill out a job application, what do you have to mark?
Yeah, you got to mark off a felon.
So when you go to apply for a new job, they don't even know you yet. The first thing they see is that F. They won't interview you. They won't talk to you. They won't even give you a chance to explain yourself because of that F. It taints you. So what I'd like to do is, I do truly believe that those that are ready and willing, we should start allowing them to do that. So the moment you have been, convicted of a felony, allow yourself to start building up your character. So that means maybe you're going to school while you're inside. Maybe you're doing community service. Maybe you started a group, a small group, whatever it may be. And that character score over time starts to get built up. So when you go out, you may have to mark felon on your thing, but you can say, man, my character score is 700, 750. And now that starts to tell the story, and it doesn't necessarily get you disqualified right away, because they see that and say, even though he had this, he's obviously been doing something right. So the reason I say it's controversy, because people say, well, that isn't that like a social credit score or social score?
And the Chinese thing.
Yeah, the Chinese things. But the difference is as a felon, you already have how many of your rights removed from you already?
Yeah, for sure.
You already have a lot of your constitutional rights.
Second Amendment, one of the main ones.
Yeah. So you've already had some of your rights. So I've talked to many people, many felons about this same concept. They're like, bro, I love that, because that at least allows me to start working towards something and gives me an opportunity to explain myself without having to explain myself.
I don't need my street cred. I got my credit score over here.
Yeah, check it out. Look at my character score.
So, Second Amendment, what is your take on it? And would you be willing to let felons who have been clean for, 10 years, 20 years, get their rights back to protect their homes?
Yeah, so I'm a strong Second Amendment guy. I truly believe that everybody has the ability to protect themselves. Let's just get away from just the politics of it for a second. As a dad, somebody comes to my house, police are average response time 7 minutes. If we're in public at Disneyland, there's an active shooter. The first person to get there to stop that threat is not going to be the Navy SEALs. It's not going to be the Marines. It's not going to be the National Guard. And shoot, law enforcement is going to be 7 minutes. So I truly believe that we shouldn't punish those who have, taken gun ownership responsibly. Right. That means taking the class, go to training, making sure you're familiar. But we need to stop demonizing the gun. And this is coming from somebody who was never a gun guy. I grew up my dad owned a gun, but it was a novelty. It was like, or it's taboo. It was like, ooh, the gun, man, the gun is gotta be careful. And yes, you very well should be careful. But when I started to get comfortable with guns was when I started to get educated about them.
Right.
So we've been attacking and demonizing the gun rather than, going after the people who shouldn't possess some of the guns in that state of mind. So to answer your question about felons, I think what we do is we take everything on an individual basis. I think one of the things that we do too often is we lump everybody into the same category. And now you may have done everything to turn it around, but because you're in the same category as this guy, you remove your rights. And how do I get to that place? How do I get to that conclusion? It's not because I've been evaluating what's happening to felons. It's because I've been evaluating what's happening to police officers. You have a ton of good police officers, but one bad police officer makes a bad decision, and now we're all lumped into the same category,
right.
And it's not right. I've always been preaching, take every incident on an individual basis and allow people to redeem themselves.
Would you be more inclined to not loosen up, that's not the right word for it, but to make it a little bit easier for conceal and carry? Because to me, it's always very ironic and hypocritical of the mayors, the governors, because they're so liberal in California that they always seem to not want people to have their guns, but yet they're surrounded by guns every time they go around, and they got security with weapons.
Yeah, great question. So to say loosen up, loosen it up, I wouldn't say is the right word. But what I would do is I would make sure that there are measures in place to make sure people are getting educated. The last thing we do need is uneducated people walking around with guns, and because that's not good either. Why do I say that? I know I'm gonna have pushback from people saying, "Oh, see, now you're saying that nobody should have their gun. It's our God-given right, constitutional right." Yeah, you're right, but it doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't be educated either. It is important to know how to operate and manipulate a gun. There are police officers right now walking around that are not doing as much training with their firearms as they should. So as a governor, one of the things I would make sure is hey, look, I'm totally for everybody being able to possess a concealed carry permit, but make sure you go out there and do your part. Make sure you get educated. Make sure that you know how to use it. Make sure you know the responsibility that comes with it. Make sure that the people in your household, your kids, and everybody are protected. And then, if anything, it helps everybody out in society.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know some people that are going out of state and getting it and coming back in and trying to do that loophole because California is tough on guns, man.
Well, and you can't legal, or what's the word? You can't create laws to get yourself out of a situation. The more laws, clearly it's not working. We still have a lot of gun violence. Some of the states with the most gun laws have the most gun problems.
Right.
So at some point, we have to stop doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
How do we get gas down, bro? How is it that you drive down to Arizona and the gas is $2.80, $3 a gallon, and over here we're at $5?
Well, we have to start focusing on creating new streams of revenue. Number one, when you can start creating new streams of revenue, when you're shutting down oil in your state,
right?
Of course you're going to drive it up. Why? Because we have to go other places to get oil. So I truly believe that one of the things we should focus on is, look, I'm all about green energy, great, but if we really understood green energy to a core, people don't realize that our carbon imprint that California leaves, actually, let me take it beyond California, that the United States leaves. Our carbon imprint is very, very minuscule compared to the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't mean we shouldn't do our part, but the way it's been sold to us is oh my goodness, if you drive that gas vehicle, man, you are killing our state.
Right.
So we have to just bring balance. So part of the balance is I do believe that by tapping into some of our natural resources, it's going to create new revenue streams. By creating new revenue streams, we can start to lower the cost of gas and other things and stimulate our economy in other ways, which also includes waste.
Well, it seems like when they were pushing, the electric cars, now they're not getting the gas tax for those electrical cars, but instead of going after the people with electrical cars, they're going after the consumers who buy gasoline and raising the price. I think they just raised it up. I don't know if it went completely 61 cents in July 1st, but
yeah,
we're getting there. So is there any way for us just to cut some of those taxes? But then that would be the problem. We need to find money to replace that.
Correct. So it's easy to say, and some of my counterparts have said, let's get rid of state tax. Trust me. I would love to get rid of state tax. If it was possible, I would absolutely love to get rid of state tax. But in order to get rid of state tax, we also have to find other places to bring revenue. Part of being one of the biggest states in the United States and having one of the biggest global economies means that you also operate a high budget. So if we're going to start talking about getting rid of taxes, we have to find other places to drive revenue. That's why I'm also a firm proponent of cryptocurrency. Okay. There's a reason why our president and Congress is trying to pass laws to make the United States of America the crypto capital of the world. You talked about AI. What people have to realize is AI and cryptocurrency is not going anywhere. Yeah. I remember when Bitcoin was first being talked about, and I was one of the naive, dumb people that was like, oh my goodness, what is this Bitcoin?
I had a chance to buy it.
We all did.
I had a chance, bro. And a buddy told me, you need to buy it. We
all did.
I think it was like
$1 or something like that, probably.
It was like $10, bro.
Yeah, imagine. So, and that was what, 17 years ago?
Yeah. Oh,
and so now I look back, I'm like, dang, I should have listened. And so it's not going anywhere. You want some more proof of that? Just not that far from here, 30 minutes from here, there's a huge, beautiful basketball arena that used to be called Staples Center. And what's that called?
Yeah, the Crypto.
Crypto.com arena. Now I did hear that they just got bought out, so they might be changing the name again. But regardless,
it's there.
Cryptocurrency is not going anywhere. And when you actually understand it, so why is that relevant to what this conversation is? Well, if California had our own reserve of cryptocurrency, imagine back in the gold rush days, imagine if California sat on a plethora of gold.
Right.
What does that do to your own economy? Stimulate your economy. So if it's such an early stage and we can go out there and find natural gases, natural resources, have our own cryptocurrency reserve, then now it makes it easier to start driving some of the other things down and also reduce state tax.
What is your take on, because like you said, with the gas, we need to get some more currency, more money coming in. If a bill came to your table, your governor, and the people had voted for legalizing gambling in California, Vegas style, are you signing the bill or are you vetoing it?
Just depends. I mean, have I gambled in my life? Yeah, I came from Vegas.
Are you signing the bill or are you vetoing it?
To legalize gambling.
Are you signing that?
That's a great question. I would honestly, at that point in time, I would weigh the pros versus the cons.
Right.
It would be easy for me to say, like,
yeah, for sure.
The human side of Ryan. If this was Ryan Tillman not running for governor,
I'm just busting your balls.
No, right? I love it. If it was Ryan Tillman not running for governor, signing the bill. If it was Ryan Tillman not running for governor in that position, I'm signing that bill all day long. Right. Let's legalize it.
But you got to see.
But I have to see what's in the best interest of the people, and I have to make sure that everything is taken within context. I built a whole brand off of giving people context. So it's my job as a governor to say, here's everything. This is the nuts and bolts and everything in between, and this is the fine print. And if it's going to benefit California, and we could do it in a way where it's not going to create more mental illness, because there's things that people have to realize that come with that. I love playing blackjack. I love going to the tables, but I've also lived in a state where I saw the negative effects of gambling. I've seen people lose it all on the gambling table. I've seen more homelessness. I've seen more. So that's why I say, if it was Ryan Tillman, because I like to play blackjack, I would say all day, sign it.
Right.
And it would be easy to say, this is going to drive in more revenue. But is that what's going to be the best interest of the people? So that's why I say that would be a decision that's going to have to be made at that time.
Gotcha. But right now, gambling, everybody's doing it pretty much online. So it's like, kind of bring it over here and do it. But I think the powers that be with Vegas, and especially the reservations with the Indian casinos, they're going to be like, oh no, you guys are getting our piece of our pie.
Yeah, that could very much happen.
Right?
100%.
So would you sign an executive order if you were governor to get, and I don't know if you knew this, to get male inmates out of female prisons?
Oh, absolutely. I don't believe that male inmates should be in a female prison,
because there's many of them right now in there.
Yeah, and I don't believe so. For many reasons. Number one is it creates loopholes, because let's say that you're saying that you are a transgender male or whatever, so that way you can go to, or a transgender female, but you're using it as a loophole to get into a female prison.
Yeah.
That's dangerous for many reasons. Number two is it creates other problems, unintended consequences because of that. So yes, I would sign that. Now, again, bringing balance is what is the alternative. Like, number one, let's sign this into action. Let's remove it. But how do we keep these people safe? Why are they there in the first place? Why did they decide to go to this place? So yeah, some people may argue, well, now you're alienating them. Well, they're kind of already alienating themselves.
They're in
a
prison.
sense.
You're not getting somebody off the streets as a good guy. And a lot of these guys who are in there, they have a sexual assault. They got battery on women.
Correct.
I did an interview with a female, and they're trying to get him out of. They say those guys bully him, and these guys have all their parts.
Correct.
And they're sitting there walking around with beards, and like, what happened to common sense in California?
Well, we've lost it. We've lost common sense, and it was because we caved to the vocal minority instead of putting the silent majority first.
Right. So that for sure, they're gone. Homelessness, drug addiction. We will talk about and take phone calls after this commercial break, Mr. Chris.
Let's do it.
All right. There you go. We'll take a quick 3-minute break. There we go. This channel exists because you believe in our stories. We're not funded by big corporations. We're not bought by special interests. We're independent for the people, by the people. And we're here to speak the truth of our communities across the country. Every story we bring to you about injustices, about our culture, about what's really going on in our neighborhood is powered by us, and hopefully now by you. We're asking every single viewer who values what we're doing here to help us stay independent. If just a few of you would donate $2 to $5, it'll make a huge difference. It's easy. You could send support through Venmo, Cash App, or Zelle. Your donation doesn't just keep the lights on, it keeps our voices strong. We're not just another YouTube channel. We're your news, we're your platform, we're your movement. So if you rock with us, if you believe in independent Latino media, drop $2, $3, or $5 today. Thank you so much for watching, supporting, and standing with us. We're just getting started. Let's grow together.
Are you dealing with a busted pipe, clogged drain, or no hot water? Don't stress. Call the pros at Rockstar Plumbing in Chatsworth. Our licensed and insured team handles it all. Fast, clean, and reliable. From leak repairs to full water heater installs, we've got you covered. Trusted by your neighbors and rated 5 stars across the valley. Call now, 818-814-3044, or find us online. Rockstar Plumbing. We don't just fix pipes, we rock them.
All right, guys, you guys know the American CHOLO platform is here to inform, motivate, and educate. And in today's turbulent times, a criminal record or a bad tattoo can leave a long-lasting mark on your future. That's why we're giving back. We are now offering adult criminal record expungement and free tattoo removal, exclusively for Los Angeles residents. Don't let your past define your future. Reach out to Bruno Hernandez at bruno@stpla.org and take the first step towards a fresh start. Thank you and God bless.
Do you need a tattoo but don't know where to go? Thinking about having your homie do a homemade one? Hey, let me stop you right there. Tattoos are permanent, people. Let the pros handle it. Go see our friends down at SoCal Tattoo. The address, 6000 Reseda Boulevard, Unit M, Tarzana, California, 91356. The phone number, 818-578-6562. Once again, 818-578-6562. And tell them American CHOLO sent you.
All right, people, so we're back. Make sure to support our sponsors. That way you support us. So now, homelessness / drug addiction. I am one that says you cannot speak of one without speaking about the other. When I saw Karen Bass and the CEO of LASA speaking and saying that homelessness has gone down 17% in the last 4 years, I'm just like, it's comical how much of lies those are, right? And I get it, mental health, but the majority of people out in the streets are because of drugs. Drug addiction. And that is an epidemic that we've never seen in American history like that. It almost reminds me of how the British was taking opium to China and the opium wars were happening and the Brits were sitting here poisoning their people. I kind of feel like China's kind of doing the same thing to us this time. All right, we're gonna poison their people. They're gonna be addicted, and that's where we're at. But it seems like politicians will never really make that correlation. They'll just sit there and say, "Oh, it's homeless. We need to build more housing." But it's a lot of. What would be your take on trying to reduce the homelessness in California?
You know what's great is, people ask about my qualifications for running for governor. And one of the most unique aspects of this journey for me is the fact that I've been a police officer for 13 years. I've had to be all things to all people. I saw firsthand what happened when political decisions were made and who actually suffered because of those decisions that were made. And that also included homelessness and drug addiction. I also worked for 2 years as in our what's called our quality of life unit, which was a focus on homelessness. And I'll never forget, man, when I first started, I got assigned to the quality of life unit. And when I went there, I was like, oh man, I'm about to end homelessness, man. 3 months, man, these streets are about to be clean. Everybody's
Tillman's on the job.
Oh, Tillman is on the job. Like Chase is on the case, And my partners that had been in the unit for a while, they were like, this fool is crazy. Like, I don't know what he's thinking. And so I was super motivated. And so I started going out there. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let's get them resources. Let's go here. And next thing I know, about 3 months later, I'm like negative. Oh man, these people ain't going nowhere. Man, don't give them nothing. They don't even want it. I became the most cynical person because I started realizing the realities of what we were dealing with. Yeah. The truth is that there are a lot of people that want to be homeless, and because of their drug addiction, it's become a mental illness. We always like to try to separate the two, but oftentimes, majority of the times, the two are connected. So what we have focused on currently in our state of affairs in California is we've been focusing on being reactive instead of proactive. The reactive thing is build more homes. Go out there, build more houses. Well, the people don't want to be in a house in the first place. So now you just wasted all the taxpayer dollars on building all these homes that they don't even want to live in, and now we got graffiti all over them. Right. But if we are proactive, what you do is you start realizing, okay, what is causing people to be homeless in the first place? Like we talked about, one of the biggest contributing factors, drug addiction. How do we solve that? Well, what contributes to drug addiction? Usually a loss of job. Number two is a lot of it is coming over through across our borders, and if we're just being real. So you got people that are making a hustle, making a killing because it's coming through across our borders, selling it to our kids. Our kids get hooked on it. Number three, you start talking about is, well, the economy is freaking high. And so people are depressed. They don't know what to do. They resort to alcohol. Next thing you know, alcohol resorts to drugs. So if we started getting to some of the root causes of what's causing people to be homelessness, for example, domestic violence, if we can create other alternatives for people that are victims of domestic violence, so now they don't have to be homeless once the domestic violence occurs, then now that prevents one extra person from going out there and using drugs because they find themselves on the street and somebody hands them a needle. So I think for me personally, what I would like to do is say, how do we invest in being more proactive? It doesn't mean that we don't look for homes, but it means that we have to find other alternatives because, again, working in that unit for 2 years, man, it was crazy. And then keep in mind, we spent $22 billion on homelessness.
5 years.
$22 billion.
5 years.
Where is that money now? Nobody knows.
It's like the Epstein files, bro. They disappeared, bro.
Why are we talking about homelessness in California right now?
That's all.
We absolutely not talking about homelessness. There's so many other things we should be talking about. That's sarcastic, by the way. It's sarcasm.
When it comes to homelessness, when an addict wants to get clean, that's when they're going to get clean. You're not going to force them into getting clean. To me, I'm a little even tougher on that. To me, it's like, why are we wasting? It's like I'm a farmer, right? I've got all these trees and they're all rotten. And we're spending billions of dollars of trying to fix these trees when we have all these little baby trees that we are neglecting. Could you imagine if we would have got that 20 billion, take 10 billion of it, and actually pushed it in real after school programs, pushed it in the inner city, give these kids computers, give these kids mentors. Like, that's so much money that you could change hood after hood. And these young kids, you're going to educate them not to use drugs. These guys, they're going to figure out when they figure it out, bro. But
you want to hear something scary?
Yes.
So about 47% of Generation Z struggles from mental health, depression, and anxiety. 47%. When I first heard that, I didn't believe it because I was like, that's almost half of Generation Z. Yeah. So I started conducting my own survey. I speak in schools for a living as well, up and down the state of California, all across our country. When I started survey, I surveyed over 3,000 students, and that number shot up to around 68% of our kids that are struggling from mental health, depression, and anxiety. So what do you think they start doing when they when they have mental health, depression, and anxiety? They start utilizing Xanax. They start utilizing Oxycontin. Well, what happens then? A lot of that stuff is laced with fentanyl. And so I actually do a presentation that's called Beyond Saying No. When we were raised, It was all say no to drugs and stay in school.
Yeah.
Say no to drugs and stay in school. But that fell on deaf ears and it didn't work. Why? Because there was a reason why people are using these drugs. It wasn't just about saying no. You know, it's hard to convince somebody to say no when you're homeless. It's hard to convince somebody to say no when your mom and dad aren't in your life and you are trying to make ends meet. So now what I focus on with these kids is, why are you saying yes in the first place? And a lot of times it's peer pressure. Sometimes it's an unstable home. Sometimes, you know, it might be because there's a lot of stress. And so now that I know why you're using it, if I can give you other alternatives, go to the gym maybe find a mentor. Maybe get a journal and start, you know, jotting down why you're going there, what you're going through. Those are other alternatives that it may not give you the quick hit that the drugs might do, but it's going to give you long-term sustainability. And it works. And so that's what the same thing I would like to do for our state.
What is your thoughts on San Jose? They just passed a law there that if the police officer goes up to a homeless person 3 different times, I'm sure it's maybe 3 different days, a week, and they have it noted that they're offering them a place to stay, and they refuse, they're going to arrest them.
I'm all about it. Why?
Nice.
Because I know it works.
Yeah, you got to force them, bro.
I know firsthand.
You got to force them.
I know firsthand. A lot of people will say, well, you know, that now you're just increasing, you're adding more numbers to the jails.
Put the number up there, Chris, please.
Yeah.
In the comments.
Yeah. Now you're just adding more, you're just increasing the numbers in the jail. But at some point you have to draw the line.
Yeah.
And when you start allowing people to feel like they can do whatever they want to do and go wherever they want to go, then that's when it becomes a problem. So when I say, hey, look, take them to jail. But what do we do after we take them to jail? Don't just throw them into jail to say, hey, go to jail, sleep it off, and come back and do the same thing, because now you're just perpetuating the cycle.
Right.
The cycle. Go to jail, but now we have to put other means in place to help get them off. The last thing I say about that, and I've talked to many people who have been former addicts, and they said that when they start decriminalizing a lot of these laws, and when it made it easier for them to just possess drugs and not go to jail, it made their addictions worse, because they said at the very least,
oh, man. Okay.
yeah.
This is one of our famous callers. The one, the only, the Alabama Mexican. What's up, Bama?
Hi. Thank you very much, American Cholo. Hey, Governor, I just
turn that Bama up a little bit.
Governor, I will vote for you if you do one thing.
What's that?
If you build a skyscraper Motel 6 right there on Figueroa, man, you think you can do that?
Hey, I'm going to put some extra lights on there. I'm going to light it up like Las Vegas, my brother. You got it. Done.
You got a serious question, Bama?
No, I'm just happy you're getting some nice guests at the show, and you guys keep on talking. You guys are doing pretty good, man. I just wanted to say hi. I'm out in Puerto Rico on vacation.
Yeah, Puerto Rico.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, brother, man. Enjoy Puerto Rico. But, man, it means an honor that you're tuning in and just listening to the dialogue, man, and help us out, man. We got to take California back.
All right, we will, man. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate you, Bama.
All day, every day.
Take care.
Yeah, so you gotta force them, bro. Like, imagine how much my plan was, and people thought I was crazy. I said, we need a rehab camp. We need a rehab camp where you set up these places instead of Alcatraz, whatever it is, alligator. You get a rehab camp where you start enforcing loitering laws. You can't go here, and then those guys don't know. Hey, do they pick you up? You're gonna go to rehab, bro. And then just keep on. And then after at that same rehab camp, you're gonna have meth, this, that, and you're gonna have doctors, and then you're gonna have like people that will eventually, you do good, you transition into a home. Right now, you do bad, they're giving you a place to stay.
And they kind of did that with Prop 36, which was good. But like I said, you know, and before he called, what to just finish up that thought was the guys that I was talking to, they were saying that when they went to jail, it actually.
Yeah, put the comment. On the screen. Yeah.
When they went to jail, it actually helped them out with getting sober. It forced them to get off the drug at least for a time period, and then it helped them go to rehab if they wanted to. But when you're not punishing them, or you're not, forcing them to go anywhere, then they just could say hi all day, every day.
No, it's every drug addict's dream, bro.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they're doing. It's every drug addict's dream. I can get paid. I can post up with a tent. Like, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years ago, you're not doing that. Now it's not uncommon to see tents everywhere, people chilling out there. I'm going to work at 6 a.m. The guys are out there like, it's like they're in the middle of their living room in front of Pep Boys, bro.
You know what? One of the funny thing as a police officer, I was telling somebody this, is like one of the nastiest things I ever had to do was when I was in that unit going to these tents.
Oh, bro.
You could probably just smell it.
The pee-pee tent. That's what exactly.
You can smell it already.
Bro, the pee-pee tents, bro.
Man.
Or you get a bunch of bottles like that full of pee-pee. Hotline. Put the comments up there too, Chris, please.
This is Danny calling from Santa Cruz. I just got a question. I just wanted to know, because I got two friends that live at these homes right now, and they're not using drugs, and they're doing pretty good, and they got jobs, and they used to be homeless.
Okay.
What does he think about the tiny homes?
Oh, yeah. Have you heard of those?
Yeah, the tiny homes.
We got 3 here in North Hollywood.
It just depends. I think tiny homes are really good for certain people, no doubt about it. It's a good step forward and allows them to get back onto their feet. But we also can't oversaturate places with tiny homes.
Yeah,
I think one of the problems that happens is we say, oh, it works, and then we assume it works for everybody. So I think with a good approach to it, figure out, identify the people that it can work for, but then also start strategically figuring out, okay, where are we going to put these, and then how are we going to build from there?
Right.
Great question.
Yeah, and the other one is, this is what I think about the train, the Bullet, the one from Bakersfield that's going to go to San Jose. Because I used to take the cow train, and I used to go to work from South Bay to San Francisco. So this is what I think why they're not trying to build it, and I could be wrong, but this is what I think. So
Come on.
In Bakersfield, you have the oh man, I can't think of what is the way you get paid every hour, bro?
Your hourly rate?
The
minimum wage. Okay,
yeah,
I got you.
The minimum wage in Bakersfield is way different than San Jose or San Francisco. So I think the reason they don't want to build it is because it's different incomes in the valley all the way to the Silicon Valley.
Okay.
That's the reason why I think they don't want to put the bullet train.
But the reality is, it's not that. The bullet train, the pathway they had, they can't buy all those houses. They can't get the place there, so they don't have the land. And also, the way they have it, it can't even go that fast because of where it's at.
Correct. It's very convoluted.
Thanks for the call, Danny.
Great question, Danny.
Hey, you guys have a good one. Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
God bless.
You too, my man. So, what's up with your dancing in uniform, huh, boy?
Oh man, that was in 2019.
And people still recognize you from that.
It's funny, man. I was so that happened because I got promoted from just an officer to corporal at the time, and it was bittersweet because it was bitter because I had to leave the school, and at the time operating the school was one of the best assignments I ever had. But then it was sweet because I got more money, so I want to do something that the kids never forget.
Hotline. Caller. You hang up?
Yeah, I wanted to do something that the kids were never going to forget, and it left. That video has been seen over 100 million times. By the way,
jeez, that was dope, bro.
Yeah,
did you guys choreograph that or?
We did 2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks. All right, hotline. Caller. This guy thinks he's washing dishes, bro. yeah, get him out of here. The podcast. What's the name of your podcast? What was the motivation for starting it, and where is it at now? So
the original name of the podcast was called the It's Needed Podcast, and it was centered on bridging the gap between law enforcement and the community. It's since evolved, and it's now the Ryan Tillman Show.
Get him, see what it is. Oh, then what?
Yeah, it originally, and then it evolved into the Ryan Tillman Show. But the original podcast was with a buddy of mine named AJ. He goes by, oh no, it's the Popo. He's a police officer at Ohio. Good dude, man. Really good guy. And all we did was talk about issues that were plaguing law enforcement in the community. And then over time, it just evolved. He got busy, I got busy, and I wanted to start, attacking more issues that were beyond law enforcement. So then it evolved into the Ryan Tillman Show.
To the right. And what kind of podcasting do you do on that? Is it a lot of police officers? Is it just
everybody variety? Now, it used to be police officers. We've even had people that have been incarcerated before, like Artie Gons. Artie Gons was on. We had a guy, Leon Ford, who'd been shot 5 times by police over mistaken identity. Ouch. We had what's his name on? John Mattingly. John Mattingly was involved in the Breonna Taylor situation.
Right.
But now we have a whole assortment of different people. I have athletes on there. I had Cameron Bynum. He plays for the Indianapolis Colts now. He was with the Vikings last year. So we have a lot of people on.
What's one thing that somebody might be surprised to hear about you?
Somebody might be surprised to hear about me.
Same number. Go ahead. You got to say with the bell. Hotline. Hello. 3, 2. I don't hear nothing. I don't even hear anything.
Man, that's a good question. I'm an open book. I'm sure you've noticed. I mean, I don't usually try to stray away from anything. Man, I'm trying to think what would be something that would be surprise. I mean, I love golf. I mean,
well, you do got that Tiger Woods look.
Hey, all day. Hey, and I got that Tiger Woods game too.
Hey, boys and girls sports, man.
Great. So I think that it's that's simple. It's common sense. Boys should be in boys sports and girls should be in girls sports. Look, I'm compassionate. The Christian side of me is I have a heart for everybody. I have a heart for all people. There's no dismissive in that. Regardless of whether or not you agree or disagree with me or believe or don't believe in what I believe in, I still have a heart for you. But, not even just beyond just the boys being boys and girls being girls, there's science behind that boys have natural advantages over women. It's just or men. Or men have natural advantages over women and vice versa, and it's proven.
Well, it's funny how that just used to be common sense, but
I know.
or they ask you, "Are you a doctor? Are you?" I don't got to be a doctor. No, a cat and a dog and a male dog and a female.
And then we've also seen what happens. And so look at, I'm not dismissive of those that have wanted to entertain a different lifestyle, but at the same time, I have a daughter, and the last thing I would want for my daughter is to have somebody.
Right, of course. Hotline. Caller. Same caller, no? Can they hear us, Chris, maybe? Sounds like they can't hear us, bro. Or they maybe just washing dishes.
Yeah, I have a daughter. The last thing I would want for my daughter is somebody beating her in a sport because they have a biological advantage.
It's crazy, bro. It's like they're so afraid to offend the small minority, but it's almost like the same thing with men and women's prison, and it's not attacking anybody. It's like,
look, I was speaking at a school about 6 or 7 months ago. I shared this on the Brandon Tatum podcast, and I was talking to some teachers who were at odds with each other, very politically at odds. Yeah, those that are on the far left, those on the far right. So I did my presentation. As I'm doing my presentation, one of the ladies cuts me off. She says, "What about respect?" And I said, "Well, if you let me get through my presentation, I'll tell you about respect." So she was like, "But you need to address the respect because there's people here that aren't giving these students respect that are transgender and this and that."
Right.
Well, I said, let me tell you something. I said, before I walked in here today, I had an encounter with one of the students who identifies as a transgender. I had not, it was them amongst the other people, So I'm talking to all of them, and as I'm talking to them, I was like, "Hey, I'm so glad you guys came to talk to us today. Thank you. So good seeing you guys." Gave them all hugs, and then went about my business. And so I asked that teacher that asked me the question about the respect. I said, "Do you think that student cares more than the fact that I actually made them feel loved and seen and gave them a hug, as opposed to me misidentifying their pronouns?"
Right.
So I think at some point we just got to be human with people and just be able to hey, look, I could still be compassionate, but it doesn't necessarily mean I have to believe the same thing you believe. I wrote a book on it. It's called Happy Eyes: Becoming All Things to All People Without Compromising Who You Are. And now we live in a society where it makes you feel like if you don't subscribe or believe one way, then I have to counsel you, and I don't think we have to do that.
Right. I think that's changed a little bit. We got a super chat. Terry Hessicle is 99 super chat. Can you ask him to give us 5 minutes on desalination plant project and thoughts on the situation, his plan if he has one?
Great question. So I don't have a desalination plan right off the top. I'll tell you that.
That's the one you take in the water from the ocean and
correct. But I will tell you this is, I have talked to people. I was at the California GOP conference in March,
right? And
I met somebody that had a whole process and plan. So I have to get familiar. My dad was actually on the water board, the president of the water board for years, and I think that in 2025, if we can have AI, if we can have all this technology, if we can build bullet trains, why can't we figure out a way to convert ocean water into water that can be used to put out fires? So I think there's a strategy. We live next to an ocean. It doesn't make any sense. So where there's a will, there's a way. And if there is a way, I'm gonna find it.
How do we get the insurance companies to come back to California? And a lot of people just think they're raising the prices. But let's say you bought a house, let's say 15 years ago. You bought it for $500,000. That house is now worth $1.3 million, and the insurance company hasn't raised your rates by 2 or 3 times. How do we balance that out? Because it's so expensive in California to rebuild.
Well, one of the reasons they start raising the prices is because we weren't taking proactive steps at reducing the amount of times we have forest fires. I have a friend of mine, his name is Gordon Graham. He's an expert in risk management. And he has a saying that he says, predictable is preventable. So if we can predict certain catastrophes that are going to happen, then we can prevent them. But what's been going on is we haven't been taking those necessary steps. We haven't been cutting down the forestry in the forest. We haven't been putting water in the hydrants where water is supposed to be. So when we start taking proactive steps to say, hey, we're going to try to reduce the amount of forest fires that we have, then we'll start seeing the insurance rates go down.
Go ahead. Hotline. Hey, what's going on with our phones today, Chris? Thumbs up with our phones today, man.
Blocked 5 people already.
Oh, good. That means they're listening, bro. That means they're listening. What I can tell you is that rich people don't care. Like in the Beverly Hills area, Bel Air area, that's the areas I work, Bellagio, the Palisades, there's bushes everywhere, there's green everywhere, and what they do over there is they pay the fines. So in other words, the city comes out and says, hey, man, you can't have 20-foot hedges over here. Okay, here's the fine. In other words, money. But these houses are stacked and stacked and stacked on top of each other. So that Palisades fire, that's going to happen eventually in Bel Air, Coldwater. All those areas are just stacked on top of each other. How can we go in there and start trimming some of that stuff down, or get rid of the, hey, I got money, I don't care, I'm just going to keep building?
Well, I think at this point now, it's going to be a lot easier to spread that message.
Gotcha.
It's a real thing. People know it. I mean, that was one of the worst fires in not only California history, but in the United States history. Yeah. So I think now, with that being said, it's like, hey, we go out there, we educate people. This is why we have to do it. And usually when you educate people, it's amazing what can happen. But again, sometimes we just tell people to do it and don't give them an explanation. So you are going to have those that push back, no doubt about it.
Right.
But what does they say? The squeaky wheel gets the oil. So sometimes the squeaky wheel has to be the people that understand why it needs to occur.
For sure. All right, Chris, you can take that number down. Give us the outro music, Chris. Now, what I need from you. Well, you never told me what's something nobody knows about you, bro.
What's something that nobody knows about me?
Not golf. I can guess, bro. Like,
you gotta prepare me for that.
You don't like steaks, or you don't like salads or something, bro. Something.
I mean,
something that somebody. Are people surprised when you say you're a cop?
Yes, they are. They're very surprised. So if obviously now a lot of people know who I am because of social media, but for those that don't know me, they're very surprised that I'm a cop.
Okay, now I need you to look at that camera and I need you to tell the audience why they should vote for you and what separates you from the other candidates going for governor.
Great question. So why should people vote for me as governor of California? Well, first and foremost, I think the state of California needs something different. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. We've had Democratic leadership, we've had Republican leadership, but I think California and the world is ready for somebody that's balanced, somebody that's in the middle, and somebody that's a voice for all people. So I am going to deliver solutions, but more importantly, I'm going to listen to the people that make California grow. So vote for me as California's next governor, because I truly believe that as many people believe the best days are behind California, I believe the best days are ahead if we get it right at the polls next year. So make sure you guys follow me on my website, Tillman26.com. If you believe in the mission of what we're trying to do, make sure you guys go on there, sign up to be a volunteer, get some of our merch, go out there and donate. The biggest thing about donating, it's great to get big donations, but man, a little small donation goes a long way. This is a grassroots campaign, and that's how we're going to win it, grassroots style. So thank you so much. And man, Gil, thanks so much for having me, man. It's been an honor, my brother.
I appreciate you, my man. I got one question I didn't get off on here. I got to ask now. Cannabis. What is your take on the cannabis in California? Would you be okay with it being like I think even Newsom okayed that. Like you can have cannabis like coffee places where you can go in there and actually use cannabis instead of just having to buy it and go to the house, but actually have like restaurants that have that kind of stuff. Would you be inclined to let every city kind of do their own thing on that? Yeah,
that's definitely a later question because everybody feels differently about it. I think one of the things I would say I'm not opposed, and the reason I say I'm not opposed is because we've seen over the years what happens when we've started to legalize more cannabis stuff. But anything that starts to affect the quality of life of people, whether it be if it's causing nuisances in the neighborhood, or people are showing up that shouldn't be there, or we start seeing an uptick in vehicle collisions because of people being under the influence, then that's when we have to start saying, hey, look, we need to create some more boundaries. But if we can measure the two up against each other and say, hey, look, it's not going to deteriorate the quality of life of people, then I'm open to seeing what we can do to make sure that, we allow some of that stuff to happen.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, people, appreciate you guys. If you want to go check out Ryan Tillman, just Google Ryan Tillman. He'll pop right up. I might even be dancing for you guys, but appreciate you guys coming to the chat. Go check my man out. And with that, God bless you guys. Have a great day.
Take care. God bless.